Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lucas and you're watching Fine Tuning. So a few days back I was watching YouTube and Ola came up on my feed with a thing about the Peavey Vypyr. Of course I love Ola, so I had to watch the video. Years ago I used to use a solid state 30 watt Vypyr combo as like my kind of home practice amp, and also I kind of took it to small rehearsals and stuff like that. It was just really convenient at the time. It was what I could afford and it sounded pretty good, and like I got used to it and I was pretty fond of it there for a while. So I ended up selling that amp because at the time I didn't have a whole lot of money, and if I wanted to get more gear I had to get rid of some gear, right? And then I remembered, well, my dad had a Vypyr too, because we used to use them. We were playing in this band together and we both had them and we used them for rehearsals. And so I was like, hey Dad, do you still have that Vypyr? And he's like, well, I don't have the solid state one, but I have one of the tube ones. I have the tube 60 watt. So what we're checking out today is the tube 60 watt Vypyr. So this is like the Gen 1 Vypyr if you're not familiar. And it's all modeling preamp stuff, but it has 60 watts of tube power in the power section in the back. So what I'm curious about is, one, do I still think it sounds good? Because my tastes have changed and my playing has changed. The guitars I've used have changed, all kinds of stuff like that. Your ears change. Two, I've gone through, in this case, and I've basically picked all models of Peavey amps that I'm very familiar with, because I've owned and own currently several Peavey amps. I'm kind of just going to give you my opinion on whether or not these models of Peavey amps sound like the real Peavey amps. So we're going to check out, starting with the clean channel of the Classic 50. I've got a little bit of compression on because I just don't really like to play clean without compression. It just sort of is like not fun for me. All right, well, I think that sounds pretty good. I think it's pretty close to the way a real Classic 50 sounds. It's a little hard to tell because I'm really used to those amps in an open back 212 or 410 type format. So in the 112 here, it's a little bit different. But I mean, I still think it sounds really good. The thing that they're doing a good job of capturing is that the Classic 50 clean channel to me usually sounds very woody. It's not like as kind of drippy and sparkly as a Fender. It's like a slightly darker, warmer, kind of stiff sound, but in a nice way. Like I mean, that is a good thing. It's just different. So we're going to move to the lead channel of the Classic 50 type amp now, and contrary to what you might think based off the clean channel, the drive channel on the Classic 50s to me is usually pretty bright and stinging, which is good. It really cuts through a mix and it has a sound about it, but it's got that top end sizzle, almost like a plexi or something. Different kind of sound, but a similar top end. Alright, so what they've done with the drive sound of the Classic 50 here to me sounds just so incredibly close to the real thing. Like I said, I've had so much experience with those amps, and that sounds really, really close. And it also feels a lot like that, because there's a, again, to those amps, there's a kind of stiffness about them, which Peaveys tend to be a little bit stiff, I think, feeling anyway. But yeah, there's a kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It just sounds like early 70s rock. There's a stiffness to it, and it's not like the most forgiving sound in the world, but it records so well. Like if you want to do classic rock type track recording, stuff like that, like man, that just does the thing, and it just feels just right for that stuff. What I want to do now is go to the next setting, which is a high gain setting, and we're going to use the 6505. They're kind of like a little bit of a one-trick pony, but it's a really, really good trick, you know what I mean? So there's a reason that you find them in studios and they're used on metal albums around the world and all kinds of other stuff. So yeah, once again, I think that is absolutely nailing the sound of the 6505 or 5150. It's pretty much the same thing. Again, it's a stiffness is a word I would use to describe it, which is kind of across the Peavey amps in general to me, but particularly the 6505. Like it is just a very stiff, like unforgiving amp. That like wall of bricks thing where you just hit it and that's the bottom end. It's right there. It just like follows exactly what you do. So if you want to play like heavy, aggressive, chunky metal stuff, like that sounds so good for that. So the last thing I've dialed in is a triple X sound. I used to have a triple X years ago, like probably 2008 or 2009 or something. It was one of my first like really nice kind of high gain tube amps. And it was a great amp. I ended up trading it for something else. I can't even remember what now, but it was a good amp. So I've dialed in a lead guitar sound here, which is just the triple X really gained up with a tube screamer in front of it to kind of give it some compression and push. And I've added some delay to it as well. And you'll hear that it's going to sound really mid-rangey and focused here, but if you drop this basically right into a mix, you would have to do very little work to change the sound to make it sit in the mix, which is what you want ideally, you know, to not have to do much to the guitar sound. Yeah, once again, I really think they've nailed the vibe of the Triple X there. It's a little bit more friendly feeling to me than like the 6505 or something as like a lead guitar player. I'm playing a little sloppy today because I'm like kind of still getting used to the 25.5-inch scale on this. I'm more of like a PRS guy, so I feel just slightly juxtaposed. And it's a little stiffer, so I'm still kind of getting used to it. But But even then, still, like, you know, the notes feel good and it's got good expressiveness to it, and it's just a little softer, a little squishier. You know, you could pretty much record that as it is with a microphone and just drop it right into a mix and not have to do very much to it, and it's pretty much just going to sit where it's supposed to for a lead guitar thing. So that's awesome. So there's a bunch of amp models in this amp, and all of them have two channels. They have a red and a green. So you have a lot of stuff to choose from, clean and dirty, all kinds of different ideas and stuff. I think this is a good value if you can find one of these on the used market, because I think they're only, you know, a tube one's probably 300 bucks, 400 bucks, something like that, which is not bad. Overall, I'd say this is a great amp. I'd say you could totally use this for recording. It's plenty loud enough for gigging. I have the Statera foot switch on the floor here, which is how I'm changing channels. And so I would say if you're going to gig with it, you definitely want either the small one or the big one. You're going to want one of those switches. Thanks for watching. Again, if you like the sound of my pickups, the Planetone pickups, I'll leave a link to that in the description. Also, follow me on Instagram, because if you want to see more of the like tech work stuff that I do, most of that I put on my Instagram. I do pictures and videos and stuff there, so go check that out and follow me. And until next time, I'll catch you later.